Hey everybody, it's Gen X, it's Chief Gen X again. Come to talk to you today about feral. Everybody thinks that Gen X's are feral, which we were raised feral until we were, you know, feral. Everybody says feral this, feral that. Um, if someone were to look in the dictionary and see the definition of feral, there's three of them. Well, two and a half. One says of relating to or suggestive of a wild beast. Some of us might flip that bill. Second one, not domesticated or cultivated, wild, feral animals. Having escaped from domestication and becoming wild. That one, I'm thinking the majority of us would have probably filled into during the summertime when we're not in school. Okay. When I think of feral, and this is just me, the rest of the Gen Xers can say what they want to say, but this is me, is when I say feral, it means that when my mother kicked my butt out of the house at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on the summer days when there was no school and I was on the verge of driving her nuts, it was either choke the crap out of me or kick me out of the house. She'd rather kick me out of the house than be brought up on murder one. I was kicked out of the house, and I told don't come back until, of course, the lights come on in the streets, which was amazing because I was raised mostly in a farm town, and it was we had lights on the streets, and it was kind of cool, even way back then, kiddos. But so in summertime we were pretty feral. We were told, get out there and go, live life, do whatever you want to do. So we did, and we went out and rode our bikes, did stupid stuff, learned from it. Yes, we drank water through the hoses, the neighbors' hoses, our hoses, somebody's hose 5 miles away. We were pretty much given the freedom to go wherever we wanted to go, just as long as we used the words common sense to our to the best of its ability. We got to go pretty much wherever we wanted to go because it was our hometown. We knew where we were going. That was the good part. The bad part was when I grew up, the hometown was a small town. Everybody knew everybody. I grew up in a town that was 2,000 people. And I'm pretty sure they claimed some of the tombstones as people to count that 2,000 people. And a couple of cats and dogs, too, that have been around there for 10, 20 years. I wish I was joking about that one. But, yeah, so everybody knew everybody. So when you got in trouble, you got one from them, you got one when you got home, and you got one when Dad got home. If you were at parents, it was just for a while, it was just me and my mom. So, or my mom, me and my little brother. So, it was when you were raised by a village, where I came from, you were raised by a village. And you got more than just once. And that was what it. But we went out and we explored our part of the world when we were younger. As we grew up, we went out further. We went out to the countrysides. We'd go out and visit our friends that were actual farmers, the ones that worked during the summertime. And they worked during the summertime. Those are the ones that knew what the word work was. They did all that stuff. I think the closest thing I came to work was during the summertime is when my mom had taken the time. Every once in a while, she'd take the time on the weekends or something like that when she wasn't working, and she'd sit down for a couple hours a day and teach me. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to clean. She taught me how to do my own laundry. She taught me how to clean my own house. I hate dusting to this day. And she taught me things about life. And she used to do that about a couple times a month. And back then, we didn't know what ADHD was. We didn't know what ADD was. We didn't know what any of this autism stuff was. Not that it wasn't there, just we didn't know what it meant, didn't know what it was. So there was a lot of repeating themselves to the point where I think my mom would have broke off a 2x4 on my head if she had given a chance. But there was a lot of repeating itself. For me, it was a good thing. I caught on quicker because if I could use my hands and my brain at the same time, it caught on quick. If I just had to sit there and look at her and listen, it wasn't going to happen. Not for the first 15 times anyway. So it was things that, we got taught through the summer times. So during the summertime, we still got educated, but we got educated through the facts of life. It wasn't school work; it was life work. So you learned about that. School year time frame, it was a little different. School year, you got up, you got yourself ready to school. Went in and got your bowl of cereal, or if mom was running, if she didn't have to be in early enough for work, she might, if you were lucky, she might fix us breakfast. Unless my little brother blew it and he stirred his mouth. My oldest brother was 10 years my junior, so it was quite an interesting dynamic there for a while before I joined the military. He was 10 years younger than me, so I always had to behave myself. I couldn't punch the living crap out of him when I wanted to. But so it was school time. Summertime was different. You expected to do different things. School time, you were expected to get up on time. You had more responsibilities during school time for me. I had to get up on time. I had to get my little brother up on time. I had to make sure his little butt was dressed. I had to make sure my butt was dressed. I had to make sure all my homework was done. He, for the most part, for the longest time, I had to make sure he was heading in the right direction, where he was going for the babysitter or whatever. I had to make sure that I was on a bus where I was heading in the right direction towards school on time. There was no excuses, Again, when you're in a small town, most of the teachers that I had for school went to school with my mother. Again, you didn't get away with nothing. So if you came in a couple minutes late, the grapevine found out and made its way back to your parents, or my mother actually. And before I could walk to the door at the end of the school day, my mom would have her hand on her hip going, "So how was your day?" And I just say, "Well, I guess you knew that I was late today, didn't you?" And I didn't hold anything back out. I didn't blow smoke up her butt. I didn't say anything like that, because I really didn't want to listen to our lecture, and I really didn't want to be grounded because I hated it. So I just confessed right off the bat. And it wasn't always that way, but most of the time I just confessed all right off the bat. You had school time responsibilities. Summertime, I had odd jobs, so that kept me out of the house. If I didn't have odd jobs, I just disappeared before she kicked me out of the house. As I got older, I got jobs. I got paper routes, and later on, my grandfather actually gave me my first job as a door salesman. That was a trick. But, so there's things about being feral that were, by definition, we weren't feral, but we were. We were out there running around, crazy as loons, exploring life, getting in trouble. Yeah, we'd hurt ourselves. Yeah, we definitely hurt ourselves. Boy, we hurt ourselves. Exploring the outdoors, definitely. Learning about our own world around us. Yep, I learned more about Mother Earth and Mother Nature, and where to go skinny dipping, where not to go skinny dipping. I learned that there's only 2 snakes in the world that can bite you underneath the water. Never got bit. I know there's 2 snakes that can do that. One is a water moccasin, and they are in the Illinois area. I don't want to go near them. Bastards are nasty. I hate fucking snakes. I hate them to death. So I bring this up because my mother and I had a discussion about feral on Mother's Day, and she swore up and down that I was not raised feral. And I got her going. I like to rib my mom a lot. She's 80 years old. She's spry as heck. She's as ornery as a 60-year-old woman. She's just as active as one. But I got her going. I just spun her up. "You were not raised feral." "Okay, Mom, whatever." "Yeah, we were." "No, you weren't." And off she went. And she's right. We weren't feral by definition. But, I don't know. If you put us side by side against these other generations, millennials, Zs, you other interested weenies. We are the last generation to know what it's like without a cell phone, without the World Wide Web. We know what it's like to file paperwork, not just electronic. We are the last generation to know what it's like to have a bicycle you have to pedal, not turn the electric on. There's a lot of things that we did. We are the last generation to know about. But yes, sir. So my mom and I had this lively discussion. More, I was just kind of jabbing her and just ribbing her about it, and she got pretty flustered. And then after she figured it out pretty quick that I was giving her a hard time, she just rolled her eyes, and then she started ignoring me like she usually does. But yeah. Gen X, we are feral. They're just, as these other content creators say, that we need a generation that need to take over the feral ideas of what we had. Somebody's got to do it, because the rest of us, we can't do this forever. I mean, we're getting a little older. If you haven't noticed, some of us look like this. Some of us don't have any of this. And there's some of us that really, but think about that. Those of you who are raising this next generation, not a bad idea to let them do it on their own. Little pain never hurt nobody. See y'all next time. Bye.